Welcome to the Fit Affiliate Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Kirkman, and sitting alongside me is Tony Ronke, the founder of Fit Affiliate and all-round CrossFit OG. The mission of Fit Affiliate is very simple: protect the affiliate model. Our sole purpose is to help affiliate owners and coaches attain freedom. We aren't here to tell you what to do, but to instead build your ability to believe in yourselves. Enjoy the show. And welcome back to our next episode of the Fit Affiliate Podcast. Super excited today to have the one and only Andrew Charlesworth, owner of CrossFit to a Bore. I hope I said that correctly.
Close enough.
There you go.
With that accent, you make everything sound much better. So we keep it around.
I make it sound like it's right. CrossFit HQ seminar staff. You're the affiliate rep for Midwest Affiliates. You were one of the original co-founders of Thunderbro, and he's all-round dad, husband, and passionate human being for helping people change their lives. And in our other seat, we've got Tony.
Just me. Just me. All right. I'm just here. I'm so excited about this podcast. I even got a haircut yesterday because I knew that Charles was going to be on here, and he's so handsome that I was like, I'm going to
get one today. You beat me to
I better shave and get my hair done. Not that you can see it because the wall blacks it out, but I promise everybody I needed to level my game up. So I hit up hair and makeup this morning.
We've got a whole production team now. We're professional.
Despite Lisa's introduction of me, I'm still a big deal, Lisa. People know me. Many leather-bound books.
Do they? That's not something I heard recently, but yes, you have many books.
I would say I don't know you, considering the Instagram has no face.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean? Like
he's like cool. The smoking. He's like the cigarette man from X-Files, just appears in the shadows and then
yeah.
Yes,
but we love him.
I'm not that cool, so that's why we're here. But no, I'm actually very excited about this podcast for lots of reasons. One, naturally, Andrew and I have only really known each other for a little bit of time now, but kind of quickly became fast friends, mainly in that we have a lot in common. But his background story and his story is both an affiliate owner, but really particularly what we're interested in is the work that you do now as the field director for, the Midwest, probably one of the hardest working regions. Like that region can grind. We know that, but like you, what I think is really cool about you is I think all the field directors and all the field leaders, they do a great job. It's a position that I think is super needed, and I'm pumped that like people like you exist in it. But of all of them, you would certainly engage that community at a level that I don't see as frequently out of many of the other people. And I think that was cool. So that was one of the reasons I was like, I got to get to know more about this guy. And then naturally, we obviously hit it off. And so I think that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the podcast, is to talk about, because you fucking love your district, your region, your whatever. Yeah.
It's like, you can say it. I'm your favorite. That's fine. But the thing is like, no one really knew what our job was.
Yeah.
But I knew that it needed to exist. And then Austin Malleolo was talking to me, when it was kind of started. We didn't really know, like, are we doing a good job? Are we trying? And he said, dude, just be the CEO of your region. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want, and I think they feel that. I really think that they know that I have their best interest with, whether it be content or not spamming them. Like, what affiliate owner just wants to get spammed with bullshit? If I'm going to write you something or send you a video or like try to get people together on a call, I want it to be of value. Like my favorite call I had I think it was like 4 weeks ago is, we're all owners on there. And I was just like, what's your most annoying, dumb bill that you're overpaying for? And we're all just like talking. And for me, it was internet and like bundling internet with phone. And dude, I saved $700 because I put effort in, because I was inspired, because my other affiliate owners were doing the same things. And I had a bunch of affiliate owners email me after that call. They're like, dude, $300 a month off. Can't believe I was still paying that. Like, that was value. Like, they just got cash flow. I hate to say it, but that's the businessy word. Like, it just happened. So I don't know. Appreciate it.
No, and I think like, to that point, that original conversation, like we had Austin on, and he's been on, and he's a good friend of mine now. And we spend a lot of time talking about this. And like, I don't think there was ever an idea of what success looked like for the role, right? Like both your role, his role, and kind of like really what help looks like for the affiliate from HQ's perspective. And I think we're all still trying to figure that out, right? But what I think is cool about it is kind of watching all of you guys, thread into your perception of what that role could or should look like. And I think with you particularly, and a couple of the other ones too, like I think Chase does a really good job as well. He's real handsome, so everything he does just looks better. Jerk, and he makes a mustache look good. So if you guys haven't seen Chase, he's got a terrible mustache, but he somehow makes it work. But what is cool though is that you definitely pursued it from that first part, which is like, what could I make this role look like? And that's very different. Like as somebody who quite literally watches all of you guys and watches how you interact, but really how people interact back with you guys. Because for us, what is particularly interesting is not what's HQ's version of help moving forward, but particularly how the affiliate community is receiving any version of help. And it's very telling with anything, right? Not just necessarily what HQ is doing as affiliates, but like people in general. Like how do people receive the help that's out there, right? And you and I have talked a lot about this in terms of like training versus coaching. But it's been fascinating to watch, some of the apprehension, some of like the excitement, and some of the confusion or otherwise from like the affiliate owners with you guys. But you have done, in my opinion, an exceptional job at not only mitigating that, but also kind of, kind of building that role. Like I think your district, your region has definitely received you as a leader in a way that I think all the other ones are trying to work themselves up to. Cause like, I think you came out and you were like, this is what it could look like. And you kind of set that bar, and it's fun to watch it. Cause now the other regions are like, oh, we gotta get more Charlesworthy.
Well, it's like, and is authenticity. It's like what you and I talk about all the time. I am not afraid. Lisa, do you ever do like clickbait? Do you ever do like shorts for the podcast for like, okay,
yeah,
this might be a short coming up. Just
I'll just take a note of the time.
Yeah. There is a civil war going on within the CrossFit community that no one fucking talks about. And everyone acts like it doesn't exist. And when you talk about relationships, like you and I talk about, that's one of your 4 pillars or whatever you said on it. Like that is a terrible relationship thing, just made up a word to do. And I don't care about going in there and tearing down those barriers, stripping you naked and being like, look, cry with me. What's going on? Like, what can't you let go of? What can we get past? If somebody calls me, Andrew, you fucking corporate piece of shit. Okay, man, dude, that's fine. I understand where you're coming from. Or if somebody comes at me and they're like, you're not OG, man. You don't respect the vibe. I'm like, really? Really, dude? You want me to show you a video from 2009, 2010? So it's like, but I don't fault any of those people. They have their emotions. They have their feelings. So my number one job was like, why can't I make the Midwest the home of like the union, the people that come together and all love one another? Doesn't that sound great? Like, that was my mission.
I think you've definitely succeeded. I think that you're obviously still succeeding at that, no doubt. Like you have that is definitely one of the weirdest shaped regions. As maybe people who are like international don't understand. Like, first of all, the Midwest is, in my opinion, is still very much East. It's always been weird to me that it's considered Midwest, but like, I'm like Midwest for me is essentially, no offense to anybody that lives in this region, but the flyover states, like they're called that for a reason. I'm just kidding. Don't really get mad at me, but like, that's what I think of the Midwest. But when CrossFit created or carved out this district, I was like, what the hell does Michigan have to do with Tennessee? Like, so you have a crazy hodgepodge of a region, but you and I talked about this, like the things that apply in that region don't really make sense in the rest of the country. And you speak their language so well, and I think you obviously, because you walk the walk and talk the talk and you live there and you've grown up there and spent your whole life there. So it makes a lot of sense to you. And I think for that reason, they are starting to, like, you are kind of creating like this sort of this scion of a district where people are like, they interact with you, you interact with them. and it is kind of setting that bar. And I think everybody could essentially afford to do more of that for lots of different reasons, because we know what it's like to be an affiliate owner and feel completely isolated. And one of the coolest things about, no matter all the other, anything you feel about whatever has come out from HQ, or you're afraid of is coming out, or this, that, other thing, like the thing that I think is observably and agreeably amazing is that HQ has done a fantastic job of helping affiliate owners get out of their silos, get off the island, so to speak. And like now more than ever, you spend time in those summits and it's like, dude, there's 100+ people that are just like you in this room. That happened maybe once a year if you were lucky in the past. And so you can say whatever you want about being OG versus new G or whatever, but like change is inevitable, right? And it's going to have to happen. And I think that, those changes, that change particularly is huge, but it's driven by people like you getting out there, engaging them, driving them, communicating with them. And dude, you spend so much time with those affiliate owners. It's wild to me. I had no idea until we started talking about it. I was like, wow, you definitely are invested in them.
Oh yeah.
I think
go ahead, Lisa.
I think people appreciate like having the no bullshit, the open, honest conversations, because usually when you get affiliate owners in a group together, it's like either a conversation of shared misery, or everyone's like, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. No, I've got, 300 members and I've got 400 and life is great and I'm living the dream. But then, when you come in with your approach and the way, like if you just look at your socials for 2 minutes, you are refreshingly honest and to the point. And if someone's saying something to you that they're like, I'm not happy about this, I'm sucks, you're like, cool, I'm going to give you space to say it. And then let's just talk about it. Whereas a lot of people feel like that they have to be, particularly in a role like yours, very filtered and very, hold the line and here's the things that I need to say and very PC. But you're like, cool, let me hear it. Let's talk about it.
It's like, that's such a good statement, Lisa.
I'll take it.
I want to be known as that. So that's cool because, you and I just met, Lisa. So
yeah,
the thing that blows my mind is when, Tony, this is why you and I get along so well, I think. So I want to know the depth of a human story and like their soul right away. And when I look at CrossFit, like you really think about it, 2007, yada, yada, something happened. A really smart person decided to finally put everything together. And then in about 2008, 2009, what was going on in the country? You have one of the best times on planet Earth to buy real estate or whatever, because we screwed up, right? We screwed up. Everyone's pissed. Everyone's 401ks trashed. Everyone's depressed. I didn't really know this because I was just playing basketball all the time. And then what grows out of nowhere? This counterculture, amazing, stick it to the man community that would bite your kneecaps off, as Dan Campbell would say of the Detroit Lions. Like that would just come in there, and we were so gritty and we were so amazing. And like there was vomit on the floor, and there's a dog in the corner, there's this, that, and a wiffle ball bat. I love that. I still can smell it. And then fast forward, we've had F45-ish type things fail, and Orange Series doing great. And I have all these people talk to me about these things. I'm like, have you taken a class at these things? Try it, dude. Go in. Just like, you don't have to crucify and be like, your hip's not below parallel. I can't believe you think you're exercising. Go in there and say, come out and be like, what was my experience? If you're a gym owner, be like, well, I would never do those workouts because I find them dumb. But I actually liked the way that they talked to me, or I liked I liked the smell. I liked the fact they had that going on, and maybe I'll try and do that. So I just don't get the point of why we're in this spot of the constant fighting, where it's like, I see where we came from. You could get rent for $100 a month in like at the 2008, 2009 times because people were struggling. And then, you had an interesting culture, but yeah, breaking that down. I'm going to keep hitting that bell hard with breaking down the silos.
Well, I think it's interesting because, we talk a lot about, everybody comes on here is usually some degree of a friend of mine, which puts everybody in like the 15-year CrossFit world. And, so what is always fun about that is, there's we all grew up in a very different time in CrossFit. Those of us who've been around for 15 years, and like we talk a lot about the, we'll call them the seasons of CrossFit that we have moved through as a genre species, I suppose at this point. But like one thing that doesn't really ever come up is like we talk about like, pre-Bach or pre-Rogue or like the forum and like those things. And like a lot of that is about like just trying to help people understand just how crazy it was back then. But one thing that never comes up, and you're like the first person that's ever said it literally, is like what was happening outside of CrossFit at that exact moment was in a lot of ways kind of like a perfect storm, an outlier experience where it was able to kind of come to life because like CrossFit kind of hit its tipping point. It's critical mass adoption right around like it kind of hit its stride around like 2008, 2009 is like when it started to pick up speed, and it was threaded perfectly into a time in the ecological environment when like everybody had lost everything and they were looking for something to belong to. And now along came this crazy counterculture where we were just heaving kettlebells around and, locking them to trees. And,
you're getting divorced and marrying the new member inside of the gym. You're just you're getting tattoos and wearing Axe body spray. Yeah. Like you're going nuts.
Board shorts became mainstream. Like they'll stand up on their own. Nobody knows why that's a thing, but like I think I still have a few back there. Like, and it was such an interesting time, and it doesn't really, I don't think people pay much attention to that. And I think that is, and so we talk a lot about, people like to look at like the 10-year plus affiliates and be like, because in business, right, you make it 10 years, that is a windfall of success. But the things that we were doing 10 plus years ago do not even remotely apply today, right? Like in many ways. I mean, some of the stuff does in terms of like, we were just creating a counterculture and giving people something to belong to. Like that still applies, but like, dude, back then you were buying your stuff on Craigslist. You if you had a couple of bucks on a credit card, you were in business. Like things were easy. And now it takes a whole ass hedge fund to even launch an affiliate at this point. And like, so the terms and the lessons don't necessarily apply. But one of those big ones that maybe we will recreate in the next handful of years is like this collapse of an economy that gave way to like this birth of a community.
Dude, I think you just solved a problem.
We got to collapse the economy.
No, and I don't agree. I actually think, I'm not a financial advisor, except if you follow me deep enough.
He plays one on TV.
Yeah, I definitely play one on TV. I do not think the economy is going to crash. I think we are going to go higher and higher and higher like crazy. But you just solved something, Tony. I want to okay.
I try to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. You pointed out the fact that we looked at the macro or micro, whatever environment of maybe the world and economy. Why are we divided right now? It's called a freaking pandemic. The pandemic taught us as human beings how to isolate, hate, not trust the government, not trust media. And what do we have right now coming out? We have little F boys or whatever. I mean, whatever. I can't insult people. Somebody called me that, I wouldn't care. But you have this media. Look at how bad CrossFit is. You have this thing. You have all that. And so now we're programmed to be like, oh, that's the truth. Because now that's what I'm seeing, which couldn't be further from the truth. And we're used to dividing ourselves. One half is over here. I'm going to go do this. One half's over here. I'm going to go do that. If you didn't post this, you're this person. Like, it's so funny because I think you just said it. Is that why we can't come together? Then can I write an open letter to all CrossFitters and say, stop. It's all fake. Go to your gym, look someone in the eye, like be there for them on that day in that moment and keep doing that. And you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that in the principles that history has played out too. Like if we do zoom out and we get outside of, our matte black little ecosystems that we're all in, like it's Ray Dalio's principles of a changing world order, right? Like it's the exact same rise and fall that happens in multi, cultural environments, and the infighting comes in, and it's the same sort of tipping point. It's just happening at a much smaller scale because maybe we don't have something to rally against, so we have only ourselves to focus on, and that does give way to quote unquote infighting to some degree. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's boredom, maybe it's distraction,
Did
But
you
I think
like
it's a lot
Sean
of things.
O'Leary? You always have like a book or you have like a Roman
Yeah,
history lesson or like
everything. He's just an encyclopedia of just
yeah, like it's
just
impressive.
Wow,
inserting
guys,
something.
thank
Yeah,
you for that. I barely graduated high school, so I appreciate that. As a I am just an
Tony.
autodidact, and books have saved my life in many ways. Books and writing, so maybe that's why I know them. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just I think to that point, I don't have a wealth of knowledge. I just have a wealth of applicable knowledge, and so like I think many people. And this is a complete sidebar, but many people read to acquire and accumulate information. Those of us who understand it read to apply information. And so I'm very interested in things that I can apply. I'm not necessarily, I think we're all taught to go to school and learn and whatnot. We've talked about this before to acquire and accumulate knowledge and own knowledge. And that's, one of the big problems that I think faces the CrossFit model today is that so many people want their L1, L2, L3 so they can own their information, and that's what makes them valuable. But it's all really more about how do you apply that knowledge? And if people could understand that the point of learning anything is to apply that information, it makes it a little easier to accumulate information. And so I think if there's any reason I know all these random facts, it's that one, I tend to fall asleep watching YouTube, complete disclosure. Yeah, same. And two, I'm very interested. That's what I think made me become a good coach. If I could call myself a good coach, is that, coaching was always so simple. It was like, just stay one step ahead of the client. Right? Like, it was my job to know what Lisa needed or what Andrew needed. And then I was really, really good at sourcing information. I could go find the answer to the problem that they did not have the answer to. And I was very good at that. And especially like if you actually care about somebody, it's pretty simple to be like, I'll go read and research that thing and I'm going to come back and apply it. And then I learned that, like, despite being terrible in school, I was like, oh, I can actually retain information if I'm using it to help people. And so I think if more people learn to apply information as opposed to own it, they might find themselves being more valuable.
I like that. And I got really into the minimalism culture before it was cool. Not to say that it's super cool right now, but and what's funny is, like, if I'm helping a human being and they're like, Andrew, I see that you you're kind of a minimalist. You don't want or buy a lot of stuff. I can easily just tell you, yeah, just don't buy a lot of stuff. Throw out all your shit. Does that solve your problem? No. I would need to we would need to understand as a unit when I'm working with you, how can I teach your brain not to want more stuff? That's the true gift. And it sounds like you care more about that side versus like, yeah, I can show you, minimalism, don't buy shit, get rid of stuff. But no, I want to teach you, if it's something in your spirit, why is it going to bring you peace? And then how can we train your mind when you see a boat not to go, duh, like, I don't know. That's what,
I need the things.
Affiliate. I don't know. I feel like those things fit into your guys's community and culture. That's why
it's part of our values, I think, probably because it's just who I am, and that obviously infiltrates everybody. But we tend to repel anybody who's not interested in that, and then really we're very magnetic to the ones that are. Like, that's how we became such fast friends. But like, yeah, I mean, I think in the middle of the conversation, it's pretty simple, right? It's really easy to be like, it was kind of like your post earlier on social media that I commented on, which is like, hey, financial 101, like, spend less money than you make, right? Like, or you could look at it as like, make more money than you spend. Like, it goes either way. You can look at it in one of two ways. But I think in the minimalism conversation, what's always fascinating with me, not minimalism, although I do find it fascinating, is that, like, it's not about, hey, acquire less stuff. It's, why do you want to continue to acquire so much stuff? Like, what is the driving force? What is the mechanism? What are you making up for? What are you validating by acquiring, accumulating, right? Like, Lisa, why do you have so many pair of CrossFit shoes?
Yeah. We've
had this conversation. Lisa's like, I'm going to turn my camera off.
Numerous times. And it was filling it, and absolutely 100% at that time in my life, it was filling a void in my life, to fill a gap, to stop feeling the things I didn't want to feel.
Oh, I love it. God.
And now that my life has completely done its 180 and I'm in a much different place, I see shoes that I go, oh, that looks cool, but I'm not compelled to go and I need that instant dopamine hit. I don't have a gap to fill. So, and that was through coaching and, therapy, but also coaching to get to that point, is like, instead of just operating on default, going, new shoes must be the first, must get that hit. It's like, oh, why do you want them? Like, what's the gap you're trying to fill? What are you feeling that you don't want to feel that new shoes will make you feel better for?
That's
And
the
I
same
gave away a lot of those shoes just as a sidebar.
and
Yeah,
that
put
probably
that in
felt
there.
really good. You probably got a lot of
Yeah.
gratitude in doing that.
Yeah, I just gave it to one of my guys who I knew could never afford them. And I was like, hey, I'm having another clean out. I've got a heap of shoes for you. And he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's cool, dude. I'd rather see them worn rather than accumulating dust on my shelf. So yeah, it was a full 360.
And it's with money. I like that, Tony, you mentioned money in your pillars because I'm really into the FI or financial independence community. Like, and that's a unique community because minimalism's ingrained in it because you need to live off of, the goals to reach financial independence quickly. And then I'm like, well, why am I so interested in that? It's because I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. Well, why don't I want anyone to tell me what to do? Do I hate my job? No, I absolutely love helping affiliate owners. So then why do I want no one to tell me what to do? Well, then I look at it as because I don't trust things or people or jobs or governments or whatever. And then it's like, geez, why don't you you must have trust issues. Where does that come from? Oh, yeah, okay. My dad did pass away. And it's like you go through all these things. And I just find that very, very fun to do and very life filling versus life giving. Don't get me wrong. I get tired after some of those conversations with people.
You
but
should, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they're exhausting, right? Like after a good therapy session, especially, like you're just like, I can't even form sentences right now because there's a handful of biological reasons that you actually do feel that way, but we don't need to jump into the details.
I kind of wanted you to jump into them, but that's fine.
But it's such a great gift, right? Like, but here's the thing: most people don't want to do it, and that's okay. Like I guess I was always pre-wired for it. Maybe it's because like I didn't have much or the way I was raised. And so like I had no choice but to basically pay really, really, really close attention to things around me that other people just were taking for granted. But I was always fascinated as a kid as to like, why two people acted completely different in the exact same situation and really why, and then ultimately could get completely different outcomes from something. And so nothing seemed to be so binary as like A plus B equals C as it applied to that. And then I was, it wasn't really till much later in life that I realized this monolith in there called behavior changes pretty much everything. And that is really just how you interact with the world around you. And like, as it applies to this conversation with FitFilliate, it's like, it's the same thing, right? There's so much value in getting to know somebody at such a deeper level, but it takes a certain level of impetuous curiosity. Like you have to constantly be like, that's an interesting answer. Why? And then like, but it's really hard, right? To do that role, to continue to ask somebody why over and over again. I think many people find that to be, confrontational to some degree, but the difference is that if you are truly just trying to really, really, really learn everything about, whoever you're talking to, what a gift. Like it's such a cool thing to do. But unfortunately, most people get in the way of that because when they communicate with somebody, they want to talk to them. They want to talk at them. They want to teach them, tell them, lecture them, etc., instead of get to know them. And I think this is part and parcel of the biggest piece of coaching that is just simply missing. And I think one of the reasons it's missing is because of the distinction between training versus coaching. Those two are just constantly overlaid. But a coach is a role at a professional level that is far different than a trainer at a professional role. And there's nothing wrong with being a trainer. They're completely different in how they achieve the outcome. Like a trainer, wants to elicit or deliver information with the intention of that same information creating the same outcome that they've experienced, versus a coach is, they're very interested in creating whatever outcome is necessary for that interaction. And I think there's people in our community who are very much pre-wired or hardwired to be like us that are on this call. And we tend to attract those people. I think if we can send out a bigger bat signal, we'll bring more people in, but there's a lot of people who that type of conversation is absolutely repulsive, right? They're like, whoa, like, some people don't want you digging around in the dark bits, and I get it. And you can always find them. Like, it's my favorite part of the discovery calls is because I do ask those challenging questions, and I can tell almost instantly when they're just like, no. I'm like, all right, this is not going to go well on the backside of this. Cause like you think that coaching is teaching, and I'm not going to teach you anything except for a lot about yourself by asking you way more questions. And you're going to probably both love it and hate it. Ask Lisa. She's like, you asshole.
having sat across the table for 3.5 years, agreed. But it's like it's amazing when you have someone who takes the time to sit down and ask you those questions and have that conversation. It's a really powerful shift when you're like, well, fuck, no one's ever asked me that before, or asked me why do I do those things, or why is that important to me? Like, and not without judgment. It's like, it's okay that it's important to you. You can do whatever you want, but I just want to know why. Just being curious, and to have someone that you know that sitting on the other side of the table isn't going to judge you, is genuinely interested and curious about you, to sit and then they'll just sit patiently and wait for the answer, even though you're incredibly uncomfortable. And they'll just hold that space, which is, when you've experienced it, you're like, at first it's awful. And then you're like, when you realize the power and you start harnessing that, you don't want to do anything else. You don't want to have those small, meaningless conversations about, here, let me just tell you what to do. It's like, oh no, that feels really empty and shallow and meaningless, versus like being able to dig into the weeds, which is, like Tony said, it's a gift to be able to do it with clients, and it's a gift to receive it from, when you're actually being coached.
I like the behavior concept. I'm a big Dave Ramsey listener. It doesn't mean I follow all of his principles, but I love his sternness, and like, it's comforting to me. And I know one of his assistants has a new book coming out, or the personality is called "Money's Not a Math Problem." Mm-hmm. And I get the title already, because it's mainly a book on budgeting. Now, what attracted me to CrossFit was I'm obsessed with math. I'm obsessed with the data, because to me, math is the only thing in the world that is universally understood as a thing. That and music, but mainly math, because it's like, I don't care. Like, I rode a 5K faster than you. There is no ref, there is nothing. Like, was it, I came from basketball. Was that a travel? Was not a travel? And so, but the reason I brought her book up is you can already tell what they're talking about with the title. Money's not a math problem. It's a behavior problem. Now, money is all about math, as long as there's no emotional behavior involved. Yeah. Right. That's why that was a humor post today, Tony. That's like a funny account, but like,
I know.
Okay, it's fine. The simplest thing is, like, if you want to be financially independent, just know your expenses, times it by 25.
Yeah.
And that's the number you need in, S&P 500, something like that. It's simple. There's a lot of behavior that would need to go into that.
There's a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
I mean, there's
and
a lot
people don't want to look at it.
But at its core, like, so I know when I ask affiliate owners, I talk to them about money. The first thing is they're like, why?
You don't say the M word. Money man bad.
About Bruno at all. And I'm like, no, it's your revenue. I'm not going to judge you. I've heard people tell me their revenue is $4,000. I've heard people tell me, maybe another clickbait, their revenue is $160,000 a month. This is in the Midwest. So I'm not going to say like, this person's a better person, this person's a worse person. It's just, these are facts. And now we can talk and be like, well, why do you think, do you want to be there? Maybe you want to be at $4,000 a month. Are you like super happy? No, I'm working a second job and I'm doing whatever. Okay, well, we need to dig into more than why you're here. Like, what brought you here, and what, let's talk about it.
Yeah, money's fascinating. I think, not so much. I think the reason money is fascinating to me, at least, is that it's the same thing as pretty much everything. It's an infinite tool that everybody uses as a distraction, right? Like, because money, like most things, but particularly money, there's two ways that you can focus on it. You can focus on your behaviors, your interactions, and your actions with money, or you could focus on the value of money. And most people obviously focus on the accumulation and the value and the pursuit and in all these other things. And there's nothing, I wouldn't say, wrong with doing that. But as you know, for most people who do pursue let's call it the distraction side of things, they don't ever seem to end up getting to any point of agreeable, ideal destination, right? They're not like, they will, those are the types of people, I shouldn't say types, I hate to typecast people, but they're the ones that they're going to work and they're going to save and they're going to save and save and save. And then hopefully one day, because I have limited those things. But then there's the other side of things, which is like, listen, before we even talk about that thing, let's talk about how you perceive money, because to me, that's the fascinating part. Like, in regards to math, what's great about math is that math is is a universally agreed upon fact. It is a law. Like 1 + 1 = 2. Although I did just see that now people are trying to whatever. I'm not even going to go into that one, but we agreed on that. But what's funny about money is that you can take the fact of math, the accumulation, whatever, the addition, the subtraction, and then you can see the actual effect and interaction of behavior on it, right? Because it almost instantly changes the entire equation, so to speak. And I think that part of it's always fascinating. Like, we don't really outwardly talk about money as one of the pillars. Like, we talk about the other three a lot, physical activity, business, and relationship, because I think most people are like, yeah, that's ideal. But if you bring up the M word, you watch people's heads literally explode or log off or disregard it or ignore it or whatever. It is polarizing what it will do for people, which is exactly why I'm always like, ooh, tell me more about why that makes you feel that way.
It's why it interests me so much, because I don't even believe, like, if people follow me the most, they know, like, I'm very educated in, I don't even in my community, using the word crypto versus Bitcoin is confrontational. So let's just say Bitcoin for itself. Like, when you I've understood it for a long time, and to understand that, when you finally wrap your head around, and then to trust your own soul that you're making the right decisions, like, there's some unique things you have to go through sleepless nights to understand and be like, wait, is everything I've ever thought kind of a lie? Like, is what's going on? You have to be able to make those questions. But then it was cool to have people at a higher level. I guess they were coaching me. When you talk about coaching, they were coaching me to understand better and to make the right decisions, but they never told me, invest here, do this now. It's, hey, this, understand first and then make your own decisions. And so I really appreciated that coaching in life when it came to the big M word. But the big M word's so funny for me, because you're so right. It's like,
I mean, even people who quite literally will pay us, thousands of dollars to help them, quite literally, with their M word problem, their money problem. They still don't want to talk about it. They're like, can we just fix this problem without actually talking about I'm like, no, we're going to have to dig right in. And in fact, before we even get into the M problem, we're going to have to talk about why you continue to do the same thing you keep doing in this situation that keeps popping up. And they're like, okay, I thought we were going to talk about how to get more leads and stuff. I'm like, well, here's the thing. You're the constant in the problem. So we're going to have to address that elephant in the room. And what's funny about that too is, for the longest time, maybe ignorantly, I was excited about the way that we do things because, obviously I threw myself at this company to try to build it, which I was like, this is exactly what they need. I mean, we built it, whatever, believing that, and we still do believe that. But the amount of people that repels is far greater than the number of people that it attracts. But that's also probably its power. It's a challenge sometimes, because sometimes you really want to help people and it just doesn't click. But for most people, they don't really want to get into things like that. Like, they're hoping to be able to continue to distract themselves. And like we tell people, we're in the business of traction, which is the opposite of distraction. It's our job to move any client, any human, from distraction to traction. And the distinction between that is moving you from reaction to intention. But most people would like to they would prefer to react with their environment than be intentional with their environment. And you see this all the time, in the amount of time you spend responding to yesterday or reacting yesterday, client emails or what happened yesterday or this, that, or the other thing, versus setting yourself up and designing for tomorrow. And the joke has always been, if you don't know what I mean by that, watch the Open. Every year the Open comes out and everybody loses their mind. Like, gymnastics has never been programmed in CrossFit, right? And gymnastics is the perfect example of human behavior, because it's simply intention.
I don't get that. Do tell.
Yeah. So gymnastics is purely intention, in that you must spend time today for tomorrow. It's not an easy place to be able to spend time for yesterday. Like, you see people get this wrong in gymnastics all the time, where they would like to spend time accumulating volume, doing more of what they already know how to do, hoping that it gets them better. And then the standard changes, right? And then because the standard changes, they're no longer able to apply their reaction to this forward-facing thing. Because the reason that gymnastics is purely just behavior and intention is that gymnastics is about perfection, right? So it's, this done perfectly looks exactly like this. Great. Show me how you move, Andrew. And you're like, I don't look anything like that. And it's purely just behavior, because people understand behavior as character and psychological, but it's also physical, right? It's how your brain will tell your body to move, but also how your body will tell your brain to move, because you're built the exact same way as I am. You just happen to be a lot longer than me. But the reality is our mechanisms are the exact same. So if a muscle up looks like a muscle up, I'm like, okay, try to do a muscle up. Anything that you put forward in an attempt to do that is a demonstration of your behavior, right? And so that's a big deep dive into that one.
I like that. I never have thought of gymnastics that that's just such a hipster's not the right word. That's such a cool way of like assessing exercise, though. You know what I mean?
That was the seminar for years, right? I mean, teaching it, people would line up in droves and show up every single weekend, hoping that I would give them the secret, the quick thing, the thing that they could do. They're like, I'm going to get a pull up this weekend, etc. And then they would leave there learning with their heads exploded, being like, holy shit, this whole thing was purely a demonstration of what I don't do versus what I need to do. Oh, and
yeah,
that's
I was obsessed with splits. I'm probably your client at this point, because I was obsessed with the splits for a while. I talked to Bosman about it probably in like 2014. We were at the CrossFit, like the seminar staff summit. And he's like, dude, I saw you're like training the splits. And he's like, Bosman is a great, I mean, talk about the things we talk about. I mean, Adrian would do this for, he's like, why do you want to learn the splits? He hit me with it quick. And I'm like, honestly, Adrian, like, I'm just a big guy. And I think it would be really cool on like Instagram. And I want to be able to say I can do the splits. And then also I said, I randomly think that will allow me freedom of movement. So those two things. And he said, let me tell you, mad respect for like the first one. At least you're admitting it's mainly a stunt. But number two, the splits don't necessarily allow you freedom of movement. He's like, the splits are a very, very painful experience. And you need to, it doesn't just, someone who has splits doesn't just move well and stuff. Correct. It's like, so you're defining something that's not necessarily true. But it's funny because I bought 3 books on the splits. I tried all these things. Here's this pattern, do the XYZ. Like at the end of the day, if you want to do the splits, go to the splits where you can, flex your muscles as hard as you can, let them rip, do it again for a couple sets like you would do a strength training. And then eventually you'll have it one day. There's no other secret sauce.
It's, I mean, and that extrapolated out into business is the exact same conversation, right? It's like, the pursuit of the split for you was about mimetics. You wanted to measure up to some degree of an external sort of validation, which is nothing wrong with external validation, but like you were using the outside environment to dictate the things that you would focus on. But Bosman basically questioned you on what was going to be the ecological impact. How is this going to actually improve your life or your fitness, et cetera? And then upon examining, you're like, oh, fuck, I guess it's not. Right. But even if I still decide to pursue it, it's not about what do I need to continue to do. It's what do I need to stop doing in order to be successful. And like, that's all it is in business, right? Like everybody in business, especially affiliates now, because marketing has descended upon them to manipulate them, is so focused on what they should be doing, right? They're on that mimetic sort of pursuit. Like everybody's telling them how they should measure up. And if they're not here, they're a failure. And so you say, okay, that makes complete sense. Let's go get you all that revenue, all those people, et cetera. What's that going to do for your life? Like, how does that actually help you? And they're like, it would be better than my situation currently. I'm like, or it wouldn't be, right? Because like you can grow and die in business, right? Just as easily as you can grow and not die, right? Like those are the exact same things. Like if you try to grow this thing at the expense of all things just to measure up mimetically or externally, don't be surprised when you get to the end of it and you're like, I fucking hate this thing. This is not what I wanted. But if you understood it from like, what's the impact that all these decisions are going to have on my actual life, my family, my future, et cetera, that's a very different pursuit. And then when you get to the end of those, you're like, well, I might not have anything that you think is successful, but like I do. And like, that's one of the reasons that this whole thing is so important to me, is because I fell into that trap. Like, and I don't want anybody else to fall in that trap, because like, dude, it's so easy to build such a great life out of an affiliate. But by the numbers and by the mimetic metrics that exist in the ecosystem, it's also just as easy to think that you have a terrible one. And that's why so many people are preying on affiliate owners, is they're just like, dude, they're suckers because they have no idea what they should be focusing on. So we'll just tell them and then we'll sell them the cure.
Yeah, they'll sell them the template. And that's one thing that really attracted me to you, is like, I can't be put in a box. I learned that a long time ago. I cannot be put into a box whatsoever. There are affiliates that would come to me and say like, hey, I want to charge people $2,000 a month and I only want to have 10 clients. Be like, oh, that can happen. That for sure can happen. There's people that'll come to me and be like, hey, I want to do 24-hour access only and I want to charge $30 a month. And I just want to show up there in a Santa hat and drink beer. That can happen too. Like, let's
your dream.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my dream. I do that right now for the holidays. That's why I mentioned that one. But I can't stand because what if your spirit doesn't want to do high ticket? What if your spirit doesn't want to be obsessed over like being the best coach? Like the coaching thing really gets me, not because I don't think people should be pursuing higher education. Like that is a necessity for you to do growth. But my one coach, his name's Mystic. He used to be a semi-pro wrestler. And he couldn't be just more of a kind guy. And he came to me the other day. He's like, Andrew, I don't feel like I belong. Like I'm trying to teach this person this hang position. And I was like, Adam, are you fucking kidding me? Like you belong more than you belong some days more than I belong here. You are the kindest. You're so happy to be here right now. You literally look people in the eye and you care about their effort. The energy that you bring, just your presence. That's why you're a coach. You thought you were a coach because I cared about X, Y, and Z. And it is hard because, right? He's like, I've taught 300 seminars. So that's in the back of his head. But I'm like, no, I could care less about that. That's just me, though. Some people are different. It's fine.
Yeah. And like that, there's power in that first part too, which is, you can do the beauty of the affiliate model has always been the same. It's, it's not paint by numbers. It's quite literally a blank page and it's a sketchbook. Right. And like most people would rather buy a paint by numbers book. I'll color this section green, this one blue. And like, look at me, I got a parrot and that's fine. There's nothing against that.
Why does it have to be a parrot? Why, hold on. Where did you look at me? I got a parrot. You could have picked an elephant. You could have picked anything.
It's probably because I was thinking that Lisa is so lucky that parrots land in her backyard. Now I'm like,
that is cool.
I'm like, Australia just wins in so many categories, but if nothing else, it's because we got like crows that land here, maybe a blue jay here or there. She got a fucking parrot. She sends me a picture the other morning. She's like, "Good morning," and I was like, "Is that like as a random parrot that just landed in your backyard?" She's like,
they also have like giant tarantulas and snakes.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that. But
that's why my next question was like, so do parrots try to kill you in Australia? Have I had this all wrong? Because I feel like everything, like nothing will break your brain like a duck-billed platypus, like this cutest looking thing I've ever seen, but quite literally the most toxic animal ever. And I'm like, that can't be. Oh, my whole life is a lie. But anyway, enough about Australia's parrots. That's where a parrot came from. I think of Lisa as a parrot now. But maybe it's also because parrots also just repeat everything that they hear. So that would be a good example for it. Although it wasn't my intention. I'm not taking credit for it. But if you want to build, a 24-hour open access gym, do it. If you want to build super high ticket, do it. But this, I think, sums up what ends up becoming the big conflict in so many affiliates is that, and I kind of said it, yesterday when we were talking, was that the very nature of the service that you sell and the service you provide are almost always not the same in so many affiliates. Like they want to sell coaching and they want to sell these outcomes, but then they provide training and they provide programming. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to price and sell training and programming. So like if you're going to be a 24-hour open access gym, you're probably not going to be a lot of coaching that happens there. So sell training and programming and the things that people want to buy. But like if you were going to be a 24-hour access gym and you tried to sell them coaching prices, you're going to have a big retention problem because those people are going to come in and they're going to do something different than the thing that they're buying. And like, that's just business 101. Like if you have, no matter what business it is, if you have a retention problem, a customer problem, it's a simple demonstration that the product or the service that you're providing is not the product or service that you're selling. That's it. And so like, if you notice that too many people are leaving. Yeah.
Have you quoted that one before?
No, probably not. Let me see. It's timestamp that one.
Timestamp that one.
At this point, this is one big short.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 48 minutes short. That's good because Andrew's anything but short. He's the world's tallest CrossFitter, I think, at this point.
Steve Pinkerton he has me. I don't know if you remember
that.
Guy.
He's the big dude too. Yeah.
He's great. I love that guy. Yeah, man. I love the non-box method of the way that and I'm sure at some point, like people listening to this, they're probably gonna be like, well, those guys just sound like my brain's gonna hurt and I'm gonna have no direction. I don't think that that's true because in life, when you have someone who cares about you and what you're going, like, you don't take 1,000,000 people.
Right.
And I'm not saying that as a marketing thing for you. It's just like, well, yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that with unlimited amounts of people. You have to be somewhat select. And you've said it yourself. You don't mind handing people out to other. If you're
Yeah.
like, hey, if you want like a blueprint thing, like, that's totally fine. There's going to be someone else that comes in, and yeah, I love that.
There's enough box factories, I think, that exist out there. And again, it's nothing against them. Like, we have nothing really truly
Oh,
against
we
the
need
product.
McDonald's. Like, I go to McDonald's
Yeah.
to get a Diet Coke from time to time because guess what? I
Cheapest
invest in
place
the
to get
S&P 500. I'm okay with it. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I might even buy it as a good dividend paying stock. Nonetheless, I hate when someone comes to me and they say I have a soda addiction. I will rip it right out from you. It doesn't. So like there's so many things that I think people, if they just stop for a second and realize this is the real world, you're going to have real world problems. And like with Fitfiliate, we're going to coach you on your real world problems. And that's directly going to affect in a positive way your business, your relationship with money, probably your relationship with your spouse. I mean, how many clients you guys work with all of a sudden they're like, oh, my marriage got better, or they got divorced.
Yeah, that's always been the joke. I'm like, somehow we actually became the relationship financial consulting company because, again, those 4 pillars come up. It's,
You're
we don't have
secretly
to
the
do
Dave
physical.
Ramsey of the mentorship / coaching / anti-guru space. People
Yeah.
call in and they're like, that's what we should have. We should have a call-in show where people call, hi, they
That
can
would actually be a lot of fun.
That could
remain
be.
anonymous.
I think too, like it's, people will come in, and by the fact of us not doing a template or a solution is, you kind of know, our clients check in, you kind of know sort of, where you're heading, what you're going to talk about, but they could present on a particular day, like as a complete spiraling, dumpster fire of shits happened to them that week. And you're like, what do you want to talk about? Okay, that's where we're going this week, and let's move through that. And why is this such a focus for you? And you go on that journey with them. But if you were working to well, it's week 3. This is where you should be this week. Yeah, but like my whole life is imploding over here. Cool, I get that, but we need to get these things done. It really, it just doesn't fit. And people go, well, I haven't been seen and I haven't been heard. No, I know that, nothing above anything else. I would say all of our clients would say, I feel seen, even though it's uncomfortable at times, and I'm heard. It's
Yeah.
It's our coaches have the ability to, through building that relationship and taking that time and sitting in those uncomfortable spaces. I mean, Chuck and Tony back in the day, or Tony and Chuck back in the day, they were the first people who saw me for who I was before even I'd really put words to it. And when I finally got there, they're like, thanks for arriving. We've been waiting for you.
That's
Glad
cool.
you got here. And that's just by the conversation and saying the things that you're not saying or not telling, and they listen and by asking the right questions.
The other side of it is that there's a lot of safety and distraction, right? And I think as you start to learn this in life, especially when you start to help other people with it, you start to also see it in yourself. Just the same as like everybody that's listening to this, like you became better athletes by being better coaches. Like the more you help other people with their things, the more you can apply those lessons to yourself. And like there's a lot of safety and distraction, and you realize that like the bulk of our actions are no doubt subconscious. It's Paul Conti's model of mental health, which is the iceberg, and most of it's below the water. You cannot be conscious of it because the water is the separator. That is the defense mechanisms that exist in pretty much all of us. And the reason that that's important is that most people would prefer to be in a model that would be a lot more paint by numbers, create a parrot, because there's safety there. There's safety in that defense mechanism that like I can hide. I don't need to be seen. Like, and you see this in the gyms, right? On the training floor. Like some people really want to be coached. They want to be engaged. They want to be asked. They want to be interacted with. And other people want to just be left alone because they want to hide in the class. Like they want to be a part of a class, part of an environment. And like, they're probably not going to likely want to be that coach. And you see people are like, oh yeah, they don't ever want to be helped with their burpees. That's just how they do it. I'm like, well, it's because they want to continue to be distracted, because distraction is safety. And so, the only way to break that for people is through easily the most undervalued and most overcomplicated position that exists in the world, which is coaching. an actual coach should be one of the highest, most respected careers in the field, because they have one thing that they can do unlike anybody else can do, and it's that they can observe and call attention to patterns that you were otherwise unaware of. Right? Like, if you are an actual coach, it's your job to just observe relentlessly, watch and watch and watch. It's not teach and talk and teach and talk. It's to continue to ask and question until you're like, hey, Andrew, I've noticed that, like, in this situation, you continue to do this thing. And most often you'll be like, what? You noticed that? Or like, I didn't even notice that. Like, to Lisa's point, the reason we could see her coming was like, we just had to watch, right? You could tell, it was there. And, she was unaware of it. They're unaware of it. And like, that's the value of coaching. And that's how coaches break behavior cycles, because behavior, it requires the same thing as movement, because movement is just behavior. And like, everybody thinks that perfect practice makes perfect, which means like do more reps, but it's not, right? Plasticity is only created through failure. Man. And so the beauty of coaching is that you can provide and call attention to failure so that the body and the brain are like, oh, we need to fix our shit. And then you learn, right? Like, that's the beauty of coaching, and no matter what you apply it to. And the more people can understand the difference between the two of them, the more people can understand their superpowers, right? And like, I think that's a huge part of the conflict in the affiliate model, which is really kind of back to your point about the Civil War. It's kind of it's where everybody's like, they're kind of lost in the ecosystem as to what I really do here and what I want to do. Cause like, the vast majority of CrossFit wants to be trainers, trainer, but like the very word that we continue to throw around is coaching. Like, we have to figure out what the two of those are and be like, listen, there's coaching that happens in CrossFit and there's training, and those are not the same things. It's the twin trap of development, because development requires education, which is the mark of a trainer, and it requires observation, which is the mark of a coach. The good news is that most coaches are in fact trainers, or were, but most trainers have yet to become coaches.
Yeah, and there's a the market for that. I don't think I'm even pushing back on your statements, but you said something in there that's like, I was at a thing for CrossFit. It was the HSN summit, and it was amazing. There was a leadership guy in there, and he mentioned these numbers are going to be slightly off, but it was this mind-blowing. I think it was like 63% of communication is body language. Mm-hmm. The next big amount, like 20 something, was tone. And I think like 6 or 7% was words. Yeah. So out of communication to a person, when in this, like, it's 90 some percent is everything but what you're saying. And like, when it comes to coaching, I was trained to be an amazing trainer to train trainers. Yeah. I was born to be a coach. That's why I was a captain of our team. That's why. And so when you talk about the burpee thing, like, I look at my gym or my thoughts, and they'll be like, if somebody came in like an observer and they're like, how come you're not telling that person that they're like moving whatever or whatever? I'd look at that person. I'd be like, do you know that I'm their coach? And do you know that I've talked to them before about, hey, if I come up and give you corrections, does that make you feel bad? And then before you know it, I've had a conversation with that person about like, yeah, like, I was abused as a kid. And honestly, like, I love it here. I love the people. I don't want to be, when you say those things to me, it brings up massive insecurities. And when you just tell me I'm doing an amazing job, it makes my day. Mm-hmm. A, I did my job as a coach, but B, you know what I mean? Like, how can somebody else tell me what's good? That's what I hated about I'm not going to get in trouble here, but pride isn't the word. Let me use pride when it comes to like, I just follow the level 1 or whatever of XYZ. No, dude, there is so much else going on inside of your affiliate that transcends. That's a blueprint. But if you are going to live and die by that, when it comes to the open, that person doesn't sign up for the open because they're a little too, that brings out too much of them. Or maybe one time they do, and I will be their judge. I will be their judge, not because I'm going to shave reps for them, because I'm their coach. I'm going to lead them through that. I know that.
Yeah, it's and I think one thing it's interesting how it comes to exist, but for a long time, the C word coach was quite literally known that like, hey, we don't use that word around here. That's not a word that you can give to somebody. It's somebody that's a word that's given to you. And somewhere that got lost. I don't really know where that kind of happened, but like even the L1, and this better than anybody because you taught that motherfucker a million times. Like, you leave the L1 and you are a trainer. You were an L1 trainer, and then that is driven into you. Same with L2 and like 3, and then somehow 4 you become coach. But like, you become a world-class trainer, but that doesn't even remotely suggest or insinuate that you are in fact a coach. But that's because nobody has really ever defined like what's the distinction between the two of them. And I think that just became my own point of pride and my sword that I wanted to die on. That I was like, hey, before I leave this planet, I want people to understand the difference between training and coaching, not because I want to be highlighted as better or worse. It's just that so many people would be saved in their journey if they knew that what they needed at that moment was training, or if they needed coaching, and they're not the same thing. And as it applies to business, that's when it became so glaringly obvious. It's like training will get you a long way. It's like, if you don't know, business 101, get a trainer. It's the same as like, if you don't know what functional movements look like, go through the L1, right? Like, learn the 9 foundational movements and then use them. And like, the 9 foundational movements are a perfect example. They're not meant to be, the end all be all of the movements. They are the perfect screen of human behavior, right? This is what it looks like. Where are you at? Oh, let's fix that, right? Like, why is that a struggle for you? Why can't you get below parallel? Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep doing that? It's not about like throw more cues. It gives you the platform to start to be like, for people like us who were born to be coaches, you realize that like, I use the 9 foundational movements as a screen of behavior. Like, hey, I noticed that when we press overhead, you don't like to do that. Like, you can change those things, but then you realize that it's even bigger than that, right? It's like how you perceive workouts, how you perceive limitations, how you perceive life, and then business is the same thing, right? Like, I don't need to teach you anything more about business. You already know. The question is, what are you not doing? And that's only going to take a coach. But unfortunately, most people will tell you that they're providing coaching services for businesses, but they're not. It's the same game, right? They're providing training services for businesses, and then you're getting training outcomes. We need a coach. And that's a cycle that's going to be inevitably hard to break, but I'm here for it. I'll take the challenge.
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
I always think about like my coach. I only had coaches to look up to in basketball. And like, when you talk about coaching versus training, I just think of all the things that were said to me that echo in my spirit from my coaches. Like, my first best coach for basketball in 5th grade, I remember him saying, hey, you're going to call me in 20 years. You're going to be in a dumpster. You're going to call me at 3 a.m. You're in a dumpster, and I'm going to come get you. I had no idea what that meant in 5th grade, but that like echoed with me when I was an asshole in life. And I'm like, damn, man, Coach P was absolutely correct. Like, there may come a time where I need, and that's in 5th grade, he's coaching me. He's coaching me.
Yeah.
And it's the power of those, like, true coaching is that power of that enduring relationship that, like, so it's been nearly a year and a half since I transitioned out of my affiliate. There are still members today who are like, well, you'll always be my coach. And I had that experience with, the best coach I ever had, outside Tony, awkward, in the CrossFit gym I was in Sydney, where he will still randomly text me maybe once a year. And I'll say, oh, thanks, good to talk to you, coach. And he's like, I'll always be your coach. And it's just those relationships that just stick with you. And you're like, that's the power of coaching, rather than, well, when you stop paying me money, then we stop having a relationship kind of deal.
Transformational versus transactional. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a trainer, but a coach is a much more transformational role. And because of that, it's also incredibly fucking difficult to scale it. And this is another big important part of it. Like, be careful before you start running towards the altruism of becoming a coach, because what you're signing up for is to only be able to work with a very small number of people, but to work your ass off for those people. So ask yourself, like, before you're like, oh, my next step is to become a coach, you probably don't fucking want to get here. If it's not intrinsically in you, be very careful before you're like, I want to be a coach, because it is transformational. You are partnered with them for a very long time. And that's why coaching should cost so much more money than training does, because you can train 150 people easily. It'll be almost impossible to coach 150 people.
What's that number on coaching? What do you think that is? I know there's no right, wrong, like, just like,
I think it has a lot to do with what area you really want to focus in. I think, on our end, being a business, because business is not really a thing. It's like a port of call, so to speak, where lots of things converge. It's a confluence. And I think because of that, it's hard to have the bandwidth. If you're in something much more singular and focused, maybe call it like fitness, I think you could probably take on more clients because it's a little bit easier to leave that there. But like nutrition's a hard one. This is the reason why so many people struggle to coach nutrition, because nutrition is 1000% behavior. Like that's all it is. And, most people struggle in that environment because they want to train people in nutrition, but like macros only go so far. Proteins, fats, and carbs kind of dies out really quickly. It's not about that. Everybody knows what to eat. It's always a question of like, why do you keep eating that? And so it requires so much more input. But what happens? Everybody sells nutrition coaching services for nutrition training prices. And then they try to fulfill on coaching and they burn out. They're like, this sucks. Because like nutrition should cost a fortune because it takes so much time, energy, and the number of clients you can take on is really, really small.
Yeah.
But, if you're training something as simple and singular as like, fitness, it's not that difficult, but business is a really hard one. I don't know what the number is. You could probably manage 40 to 50 clients, if you're really effective at what you do and you're really good at boundaries.
Yeah.
I can tell you with myself personally that through this journey, I have lost myself so many times in the work that we've done with FitFiliate because I'm really good with boundaries, but I'm not really good with, inserting myself personally in the outcomes of things. And so that's always been very difficult. And so you got to be very careful what you sign up for. And this is why I think it's so important. I think it's liberating for many people to be like, yeah, I don't want to be a coach. I want to be a trainer. Because you can make a lot of money. I think trainers probably make more money than coaches do, truly, because you can scale the shit out of training, right? Like, you get, Ryan Fisher, right? Like he just fucking blow this template up.
Yeah,
right? Like you can sell the shit out of your template, and like you can make so much money. It's why everybody wants to like sell programming, because programming is scalable. Coaching is hard, but that's because nobody wants to buy it because everybody had a little league coach, and they're like, isn't that the same thing? I'm like, no. And how many people are ashamed to tell people they're coaches because they're like, what are you, like the 70-year-old dude in the gym with the cutoff shirt? I'm like, no, coaching is a completely different game.
Yeah, you're so right. Training, like that's with Thunder Bro. We had when we had this idea, we were like, we sold training, obviously, but the reason it worked really well is I was a great number 2 to Dave, still one of my good buddies, still talk to him a couple times a week, maybe. And like everybody wants to be the number 1, right? In every situation. And I was like, no, I'd rather be the world's best number 2 in this right now. Cause that's what he needs. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
And it was cool because we were actually selling training, but we were selling a vibe. Like we were selling a vibe. And like I was putting things out on our Instagram that were kind of like edgy. It was guy humor. It was, winning mindset, and like people, it was just funny to see. I'm like, wow, this must be missing in the coaching world too, because men must really want coach. I know I would want, if somebody came to me and they said, hey, I want to coach you on being a man, a better father, a better husband, better whatever. I'd be like, yo, that's really going to be tough. Like, you sure you want to take that on? I need it, but are you sure you want to take on that demon? Cause that's tough, like, so it was interesting to me. I saw that whole, I'm like, man, really men need coaches. We do.
Yeah, I mean, well, for one, we were all basically raised that we were inferior if we didn't have it all together to some degree, right? And it's like this, you see this all the time when people are like, oh, you go to therapy when you're broken. That's the same problem. Like if you go to your chiropractor once you're already in pain, like you're probably going to be too late. And so that's why a huge point of pride for us is the amount of our clients that do end up in therapy. And that sounds like a weird thing to say, but like it's such a liberating sort of experience when you find that person, and you can have that role, and you're like, wow, this is a great outlet that I've always been missing because my ego was in the way. And to your point, like, yeah, coaching it's an incredible gift. It's incredibly hard to do at scale. And like, it's something we're very proud to do. But I tell everybody very, very candidly, I'm like, it's a terrible business model. We didn't build it to build a business model. Like we built it because like, I know what it's like to be an affiliate owner surrounded by hundreds of people and feel like this whole thing is just worthless and nothing. And like to feel so alone. And like, I didn't want people to feel that way. And that's what we built it for. And then little by little, it became a business. And we're like, okay, I guess we got a thing now.
But I think it's it's that it's an important thing. And, that's one thing that's always stuck with me, Tony, is that you said it was like you wanted to be, through FitFiliate, the person for people that you wish that you had at that time in your journey. And you were for me, and I know that all the coaches are for their clients. The client's going to reach out and go, dude, I'm spiraling, like everything's turning to shit, everything's on fire. It's like, okay, let's chat, rather than just stewing in your own shit and then just, setting fire to everything, going, that's it, and making those big, rash, emotional decisions. It's like, there's someone I can talk to that's not going to judge me. And and that gets it and goes, I see you and I hear you because I know and I've walked that path, but we can also walk through the other side. I'm not just going to leave you in the fire by yourself.
I think that's all coaching is at any level, right? It's just to be the person you needed when that person wasn't there. And I think that like all of us, that there's definitely a red thread that exists in all of us who become coaches. What brings you here? And one of my favorite things in this industry is to dig into like why you wanted to do this thing. Everybody's, at first they tell you about the training and it saved their life and did these things. I'm like, you could have done lots of other things. Like, why did this one? And like, I think a lot of it all comes down to the thing that drives us all to become coaches is to be that version of a person that we needed when we needed it. And, and I guess it's probably good to wrap up this podcast before we make it sound like this coaching is all about like feels and emotions. Cause like, it's really about partnering with somebody to get them to win, right? Like, the point of coaching is the transfer of belief. And like, that's really what coaching comes down to is like, I fucking believe in you, Andrew. Like, and guess what? When I believe in you, you're fucked because I'm not going to quit until you win. So buckle up, because that means I'm going to be in your inbox. I'm going to be in your phone. I'm going to be there being like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And you're like, you'll lie to me after that, but like, I'm going to push you to the point where we're going to both win, but it's a hard game. And I think it's super cool. It's super rewarding to be a part of for many people. And, this wasn't necessarily meant to be about us, but Andrew just dragged us into this whole thing. So now we're talking about
right. It's a skill.
It's an important conversation for so many people who are listening. And like, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've always liked you, or I've always liked you, is that this is a part of the conversation that you put out into the public space, especially now that you're in the position that you're in and the way that you interact with those people. Like what has always been very obvious, a coach sees a coach in a room full of trainers instantly. And like, you could see that you were engaging them to have conversations, to spur awareness, to change behaviors without being like, hey, this is how you should do your thing in this market. I know your market better than you do because I'm the guy, and this is how you should do it. Like you've never done that. And I think that part's always very cool. And like the Midwest is 100% lucky to have you for sure.
Well, that's kind. I appreciate that, Tony.
It's also like the tallest one ever. So
are you short, Tony? I've never seen.
Yeah, you know what? This is a funny conversation. So every time I meet I'm 6'1", so I'm not short. But every time somebody sees me, they're like, you're way fucking taller than I thought. I'm like, do I just look short? I must just look.
No, I would have no idea. I'm just guessing.
It's when you see people on a screen from just torso up, you have no perception. And then you see somebody like, even on Instagram, you see them relative to something else. You're like, whoa, they're actually like, shit, Tony's got legs.
CrossFit too, because we just always in CrossFit, you're short till proven tall. Like that's just how it kind of works. Like I would consider myself tall until I taught my first seminar in like Amsterdam. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, you're all 6'5" or greater. This is a crazy place to be. But yeah, it's funny. It's always comes up. I'm like, I ask clients all the time, do you think I'm short or tall? And then they meet, because we don't ever get to meet anybody, right? So you meet them, they're just like, how did you get so tall? I'm like, I'm not that tall. I'm normal. I'm big for CrossFit. I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not big for CrossFit.
Just ask them if
I'm not big like Charlesworth big, but I'm semi-tall.
Are they good at rowing workouts or not? Then you'll get an idea. That should be the first question.
My height has done me no favors. I don't care what anybody says about being tall. Like maybe I'm a little bit better at wall balls, but I tell you, I hate my being. I would much rather be shorter with levers.
Yeah. All right.
I like pants. Pants fit me better.
Let's not get into that topic. Andrew, it's been awesome, and I know we will have you back on many times to continue the conversations. This has been epic. Thank you, as always, Tony. And for those who have been watching, please subscribe and give us a follow at FitFiliate for more of our awesome content. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.
Love it.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please remember to like and subscribe on your favorite platform And if you know an affiliate owner, a coach, or entrepreneur that would benefit from hearing our conversations, please share this with them. We love the feedback and support we have from you guys, our audience. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find all the useful links in the show notes. We would love to connect with you. Keep doing the great work.